Hi, my friends. I am so glad you're here this week because we have somebody who combines therapy, nutrition, and relationship advice and coaching all together, which how could you even want more? That's amazing. But today I have Christina with me. Thank you, Christina, for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. I'm a life and wellness coach too, and I'm also a Reiki coach, but I am
Mhm.
really interested how you got to be all three and how that works together.
Yes. So my story starts early on in my life. I came from a family that really went through a lot when I was very young. My mom lost her grandmother, her mother, and her brother all within the same like 3 years. And during every single one of those instances, I was alone in some way. So when my great grandmother died, I was with her and she was having a heart attack in front of me while my parents were away. When my grandmother died, my parents, for some weird reason, wouldn't let me see her. Like I couldn't go to the hospital. This is back in the like 80s. So couldn't go to the hospital, didn't get to go to the funeral, so grieving on my own. Then like all these things kept happening and I felt very alone, right? And so went through life. Oftentimes, my mom too was very depressed after all of those losses. So went through my upbringing with a mother who was emotionally unstable. I would say she really struggled with grief, but also just attachment wounds in general from just knowing her upbringing. And weirdly, out of that, not weirdly, not as a therapist, weirdly, but I became so hyper independent. And I would look at her and I would think, something's not right here. Like this, even as a young child, teenager, I became a parentified child. I would almost mother her and say, like, I'm not talking to you in that voice. Why are you speaking to me that way? Like at 9 years old, how condescending does that sound from a 9 year old? But that's what I was trying to do to like calm the situation down. So fast forward into high school, I often had friends that needed my help. I dated a lot of fixer uppers, as I call them. And everything was about what can I give to others on top of how can I perform because I was a dancer and that was when my mom was really happy. And how do I look? Right. So body, achievement, and people pleasing. So as I got older, I said, oh, weird. There's actually a profession that I can put all of these things that I do, not knowing any of them were completely maladaptive and wrong, that I can put this together and actually make this my career. So I had my undergraduates in psychology with a minor in public relations and marketing from Arizona State. I then received my master's of advanced study in marriage and family therapy from Arizona State as well, and became a therapist. At the same time, I had a professor my last uh, few semesters in my graduate program who worked in an eating disorder facility. And being that I was a dancer my whole life, like I was exposed to that a lot, especially I had my own, I didn't have an eating disorder per se, but I was always very body focused and weight focused. And also at that same time, I began teaching fitness classes. I had danced in college for a year, cheered in college for 2 years. So this like physical part of myself was always I was always physically active. So fast forward, I become a therapist and all of my stuff starts coming up. And I am in an absolute mess. I am drinking a lot. I have these toxic relationships and I had a breakup that just floored me and I was sitting on my couch, hyper independent, overachiever, owned the house, had the master's degree, all of the things, but I was a disaster and I said, "Okay, what's the common denominator here? It's me." So, this began my own healing journey. Okay, this all ties in. I started to focus on my own mindset. I started to focus on my upbringing and how it created these patterns of thinking and feeling, how those patterns of thinking and feeling translated into my body and the punishment I put it through, the excessive restrictive diets, the terrible relationships I was in. And I not only did that through my own therapy, but also just like a spiritual practice and healing spiritually. And through that, I came out on top. I took a complete hiatus from the clinical world, and I went into sales for 5 years and said, look, I've been trained clinically by the most brilliant minds. I have the capabilities of, as I say, putting the puzzle pieces together for people. And now I also have my own experience in healing. So how can I put this together? Because I didn't love the therapy side of things because I don't love diagnosing folks. Not to say that that's wrong. I'm just someone, and I'm sure you feel this, maybe you don't, but as a coach, I'm kind of today forward. I want to know what happened. I want to understand why you act and think the way that you do, but I don't necessarily want to process that. And I also don't want to diagnose you with something so that you feel like that's your identity. So I left, I did sales, and I created this program. I said, look, I love fitness. I love exercise, but I also know how disordered that can be because I've worked in eating disorder, all levels of care. I've run body image programs, body dysmorphia programs, plus, again, my own struggles. And there's not really a place for your average woman to go and talk about her struggles with body image, her struggles with emotional eating, and then also learn skills that I also had in learning new habits. There aren't restrictive binge cycles, toxic diet, culturally focused habits. It's really about meeting her where she's at. And so that is where the mindset of matter came from, is not only my education, but my own healing journey, and just noticing that there was nothing like this out there that combined all three. So that's how we got here.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think that is like so many parts of your story and your journey. I'm like, oh yeah, I hear that. Oh yeah, been there, done that. And I love that it comes out to the end of the journey where you're like, now I have to share this. Now I have to
Mhm.
help other people with this. So I really appreciate that a lot. And if
Mm.
you're watching this on YouTube, everybody, which you should be, behind her, she has a little sign that says the
Yep.
mindset of matter. And
Yep.
yeah, and I think that, like, this is where it's all accumulating, is that right?
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mindset of matter again. So that's the coaching program itself.
Mhm.
And my slogan is what you say in the mind, you see in the mirror. And I believe that wholeheartedly because I've been the leanest, you know, shredded version of me that absolutely hated what I saw because of what was in my head. Right. And so that's where it all comes together.
I love that. I know there was a big shift in me when I went from thinking I have to exercise to lose weight to I get to exercise to stay sane. Like, that was a
Yes.
big shift to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
Yeah.
shift where, like, now I enjoy exercising. I enjoy, like, getting my steps in and hopping on the treadmill and lifting weight. Like, now it's fun for me.
Right. It's that shift of we're moving away from punishment. We're moving away from you're not enough. Because if I'm exercising to lose weight. Now, yes, weight loss is something people do and I help people in losing weight, but I always, always, always am setting a foundation beforehand with what they're doing in their heads first, because
Mhm.
I can put someone into a weight loss phase who has a terrible relationship with their body, a terrible relationship with food, and they are not going to succeed. Why? How do I know that? 90% of diets fail. And that's what they do. They just say, here's the calories out, calories in, do the workouts. They don't do anything with the mindset. So I know that that is really important. And when we take away the punishment and we take away this, I have to change because I'm not good enoughness and say, no, I respect myself so much that I'm gonna work out so that I maintain my independence, that I reduce frailty, so I don't end up in a nursing home, so I can play with my kids, so that I don't, hunch over because I'm, I both of us are probably at a desk all day, so I want to have, good posture, whatever it is. That is going to change the belief around exercise, which ultimately will change your behavior around doing it, which changed the outcome. And then funnily, the funny thing is we end up getting the results we want too, So it really is that little shift in your mindset.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that, and I know a lot of that, yeah. Um, with my own life and just trying to, like I said, make that mind shift because I just hit like the perimenopause. pause phase and menopause
Hmm.
phase where like
Hmm.
that weight comes on no matter what you're doing.
Right.
So really learning how to love my body. And I say I'm always here for the long game. So like I'm playing for the long
Hmm.
game at this point. I want the muscles, I want the strength, all of that good stuff. So
Yeah. I
yeah.
actually so I had a hysterectomy at 35, and they told me that I would not go into early menopause because I kept my ovaries. But now research is showing that those who have a hysterectomy and keep their ovaries because of the blood loss to the ovaries, they are more likely to be pushed into perimenopause 4 years earlier than we know. So I started having perimenopausal symptoms around 40. I'm 42 now. And that in itself, if it's kind of like pregnancy and postpartum, and the way that we walk into it, our mindset about our bodies, what they should be doing, not be doing, our worth, right? Do we lack boundaries? Are we hyper independent? All of those things are only going to exacerbate or get louder in these developmental changes in our lives. So pregnancy, postpartum, puberty, another one, and perimenopause. And getting in front of that is so incredibly important. Or if we're in it, learning how to manage not just the physical, but the mental, because what we don't realize is they actually affect each other so much more than we think. I just posted today about like hot flashes, right? If we have a hot flash and we have this story about, like, if I had a hot flash right now sitting on this couch and I'm talking to you and I'm thinking, oh my God, she can see me. I'm sweating. Does she know that I'm like, my body's freaking out? And I'm just doing this thing. I'm going to get off of subject. I'm going to probably stumble over my words. I'm going to not look as confident. Or I can say, okay, I'm having a hot flash right now. I might ask you, hey, can I take a quick break? Or being that this is women, I'm like, just want everyone to know right now I'm having a hot flash and we're just going to deal with it. We're just going to run through it. That's a totally different experience. And the first one is only going to make that hot flash more extreme. And the second one is it's still there. We're not saying it goes away, but we're saying, I'm just going to ride this wave and we'll get through it and we'll move on, So it all, in perimenopause and all these developmental stages, that mind body connection is so important.
Mhm. And I love that it's being talked about more and shared about more because it's normal. Like this is a normal thing that happened to our bodies and women shouldn't be ashamed or feel weird about talking about what happens to us. It's biological.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said the other day, so just real quick, I'm actually launching the mindset of menopause. This is a brand new program that I created. And I've done every possible certification from a clinical standpoint around menopause. And by every possible, I've done like five because there's nothing available for clinicians. However, um, they like to say our ovaries are failing in menopause. And
That's
like,
nice. It's
isn't it?
nice.
I go, no, they have done their job. They are retiring. They're retiring. We're gonna throw them a retirement party. But they talk about us like we're this like shriveled up nothing. And that's why women don't want to talk about it because it feels wrong when more women will go through menopause than they will have childbirth.
Mhm. Yes, I've never had childbirth, but I'm definitely going through
Neither have
menopause.
I. Neither have I. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we do need to talk about it. And I'm glad you have a platform like you have to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely what I love here is that we can all share our stories and help each other with
Hmm.
like the tools and the strategies to get through it. And sometimes those strategies are really simple, like you said, like, you know what, I'm going to sit here and have my hot flash and I'm going to let people know I'm going to take my sweater off or whatever and just go
Hmm.
through it. And
Yeah.
somewhere someone's going to hear that and be like, "Oh, I can actually do that when I'm talking to my boss," or "Oh, I can actually do that when I'm talking to a friend," and just
Hmm.
realize the whole experience.
Yeah. Since I've been talking about my experience on like my socials, my friends, like people that I had no idea what was going on, have been like, oh my gosh, I've been experiencing this too. I'm like, why didn't you say anything? She's like, I didn't think anybody else was. And just we need to have more conversations about it because we normalize the postpartum experience, which we should, but we don't normalize this experience. And, if we look at statistics, from a mental health standpoint, there was a study out of the UK, and I'm not gonna get the age range correct, but we're just gonna paraphrase, 45 to 55 is their highest rate of unaliving yourself, if you will, suicide rates. Uh, TikTok has taught me that word for anyone who wants to know where it came from. Apparently, we're not supposed to say the second word anymore. Did you know that?
No, I did not know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
No.
Unaliving yourself is what they say. The kids say these days. So 45 to 55,
Yeah.
highest percentage. Why? When our estrogen fluctuates, it affects our neurotransmitters, our dopamine, our serotonin. I know for me, that was the first sign. Do you remember when you started your period and you felt that like intense emotion that just felt like this dragon coming out of you? That was the first sign that I was in perimenopause, that I experienced that same type of like intense feeling in my body and was like, what is happening? Because nothing else changed. And that was it. So it's so important to talk about it, to normalize it, to educate. Because how many people do you know say, I'm too young for that?
Yeah, definitely. Or don't know all the symptoms that go with it. Like I know in my early 40s, that's when my depression hit me. Like you said, my depression hit me so hardcore. And I didn't
Worst.
know why. I just thought it was happening. But now that I know better, I'm like, oh, that was definitely perimenopause. And
Hmm.
there's so many symptoms. Think back about like my grandmother who definitely went through part of this and some of the things that now when I reflect back, I'm like, she really thought that she was like losing her mind and her body when really she was just having these symptoms.
Right. Yeah. I'm so happy, like you said, we are shining in more light on this. But even then, there are only so many people that are providing the educational side of things. I think a lot of people have tried to monetize. Obviously, I have a program, so I guess I can put myself in that category. But a lot of what we're doing in the program is education, symptom management in regards to nutrition, exercise, stress management. We do a whole mental health piece around like cognitive behavioral therapy and what I had talked about, like kind of accepting and sitting through or reframing our thoughts. And then I have a naturopath that can also do like hormone testing and stuff like that. But we don't have a lot of people who are providing the right information because they'll just focus in on like one thing and say, if you change this one thing, then everything changes. So there's a lot of like hype around it right now. So being able to just learn, like you said, symptomology, what it feels like, what the symptoms are. And that's a lot of the stuff that I provide, especially on TikTok. Seems to do better there than Instagram, is just here are cortisol driven symptoms. Here are inflammatory driven symptoms. Here's gut health or gut not dysfunction, gut microbiome struggles, syndromes or symptoms, excuse me, and just educating as much as possible because most women are like, I had no idea. I had no idea that my frozen shoulder. I had no idea. You know what mine is, Mira? Mine is my itchy ears.
Oh yeah. Itchy
They
ears.
itchy ears. Like
Huh.
I was like, what? What
Yeah.
is wrong with my ears? Now I wear headphones a lot, so I just assumed that's what it was, but I've been doing this for a long time. And lo and behold, itchy ears is part of perimenopause.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I went through like 2 years of having really extreme headaches all the time. And I really
Mhm.
think that was part of it. Um, yeah. Yeah. It's
It's
a lot.
crazy.
Not fun, but I try to teach a lot of the people that I work with to slow down enough to listen to your body because I feel like that's something that we're so busy wrapped up in our day-to-day lives because I know life is so crazy, but taking the 5 or 10 minutes every day to slow down and listen to your body and breathe because your body is
Mhm.
giving you like this is what's happening. This is
Signals.
going
Hmm.
yeah, it's giving you the signals, but sometimes we're so wrapped up we can't even understand what's going on. So
Well, and
yeah.
that goes back to kind of my speaking of getting hot. See, now I'm getting hot.
Yeah.
Sorry. That goes back to my discussion around like my childhood. So, for me, if I wouldn't have recognized my patterns of people pleasing and overachieving and all of those things, I would most likely just be doing them over and over again and expecting a different result. And when we see, women, especially, once they're mothers, they're entrepreneurs, they're in their careers, we have been told to put ourselves on the back burner. right? To push through. I teach this concept of toxic resilience to push through at whatever cost it is. And usually it's yourself, your self-care. And like what you said, it does require kind of helping them recognize, like, wow, I really lack boundaries around checking in with myself. And just that 5 to 10 minutes really
Mhm.
is like plugging in my phone in the wall and
Yeah.
the battery, right? And charging it and not realizing like that 5 to 10 minutes replenishes you enough to be more effective in
Yeah.
your day to day than if you just keep pushing through. And I hear it all the time. Like, I don't recognize I need anything until I'm burnt out,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? You're not a light bulb. You can't change you. You can just screw in a new you. You
Right.
have to charge yourself, right? And it's something that I think a lot of women, once they get into this menopause transition, it hits them so hard. And it's almost it compounds on itself of, oh, not only do I have to unravel this identity of putting everyone else before me, learn how to use my voice and say no, and then do it, right? And not feel guilty around resting or checking in or whatever it is. And it can be difficult. And that's why having a coach like you and me and whomever is your support is super helpful in that.
Yeah. I think having someone to guide you through that process and make it okay for you can be really
Yeah.
worth it. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason why I started this business and why it's called Nurture Herself. Because if we
Mhm.
don't take care of ourselves, we don't take care of the other people like we think we are, but we are not doing it to our fullest ability because we're running from empty. Yeah.
Yes, I have a great example of this real quick. So, do you ever have a mascara in your drawer that's like empty, but you keep using it, right? And when you use it, you're like putting like 5 coats on to get your eyelashes to do whatever you want them to do, like make them curled, long, whatever. And you look at your drawer. Oh, so this is me. This happened to me. This literal thing. I'm using this old mascara, and I look at my drawer, and I have this mascara I had to buy at like CVS when I was traveling because I forgot mine, and it's completely full. And I'm like looking at the one that's not full, looking at the one that's completely full that would take me a minute, right? Just put a couple coats on, and I'd be on my way. And it dawned on me. I said, this is what we do. We use this old, worn out technique, of course, that we're used to. It requires more of our time, more of our effort, more of our energy. It's working harder, not smarter. When if we replenish ourselves, like the mascara, we're going to be more effective and things will just run more smoothly. I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
example because I think everyone has had that mascara.
I definitely am. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually this weekend I had a lip
Oh,
gloss, I guess. And I put it on and it was like, there's nothing left. And I'm like, throw it away. It's just so funny. But I think a lot of women can relate to that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
So in part of your bio that I was reading, it says that you find that sweet spot between success and well-being without having women lose themselves in the process. Can
Mhm.
you explain a little bit about that? Because I think that goes right along with what we're talking about right now, like running ourselves out of mascara.
Yes. Yes. For me, it is always about because a lot of the things that cause us to get burnt out they're not bad. So I think of things like people pleasing, caretaking, perfectionism, um, what else? Overachieving, right? So those aren't bad. If we can keep those things in this kind of middle gray area, they they're wonderful. They help to motivate us, they help us take care of other people, they help for us to be goal oriented. It's only when it's at the expense of ourselves. And my job is to find where that line lives. So, through discovery, I have reflections that my clients go through that they receive each Monday, and each reflection builds off of itself. I have a 4-part process: know, name, notice, and nurture. The know is to understand the past and how we got here, their relationship with their boundary system, their emotions, their relationship with the self. So a lot of questions about, do you find yourself, saying yes when you want to say no, stuff like that. In the name part of it, it is actually starting to name these parts of them. So the people pleaser, the perfectionist, the inner critic, and just starting to like be able to hear and organize the noise, if you will. In the notice part, it's then being like we've talked about, being able to notice it, know who's in the driver's seat, learning skills that say, okay, when my brain is screaming in this way, I know that I'm trying to feel worthy. I know I'm trying to get praise from other people because that makes me feel good enough. However, in my adult mind and the things that I've learned in this process, I need to actually take care of myself in checking in, taking a break, saying no, canceling plans, whatever that looks like, right? I need to take care, even resting. Like I teach people how to exercise, but I also teach them how to rest, because I know when this part of my brain starts going, it will be at the expense of me. And I'm not only thinking about my current self, but I'm also looking for my future self, what's best for both. And oftentimes that requires me to set a boundary in some way. So it's always looking at these parts of you aren't bad. It's when they become at the expense of you, when they become a challenge, and finding that line for each client. And that line's going to be different for different people.
Yeah, well, I love that process. That's great. And that's something that you can carry on with you for the rest of your life. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Because every season is going to have its own challenges, and you might do the work and think, oh, I'm fine. You're going to still need to like adapt the work, but the foundation is there of just being aware and having introspection. I think that's so important, to be able to look inward, say, what's
Mhm.
going on with me? Just like yesterday, I had that overwhelming emotion and I wanted to literally just destroy my husband. He didn't do anything wrong, but the emotion was so strong. My brain was like, he didn't do this and he didn't do this and da, 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 da. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. He just offered to make you breakfast. Like, calm down, you know? And like that, because I learned that in my healing journey. And I was lucky to go through that. And I was like 31 when that happened. I'm so thankful for that, because now I'm able to know when I'm off and not feeling like myself. And it's super important at any age.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I've been there too.
Yep.
So this is one question that I ask everybody that comes on to my podcast. It is called Nurture Herself, and you have already given us so many different ways. But is there something that you do, something like a small step that you do every way to take care of yourself, to nurture yourself?
For me personally, or what do I teach my clients?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's both. I have some non-negotiables that I like to have 5 out of 7 days a week, maybe 4. And I like people think I'm crazy because I wake up at 4:15. And the reason why I wake up at 4:15 is not because I'm some influencer who's like, you need to have a morning routine. No, I wake up at 4:15 because I put so much into other people starting at 9 a.m. until 6 p.m., sometimes longer. And I like that the beginning of my day is about me. And it has a routine because I'm a routine oriented person. I write in it's called a panda planner. And I love it because it starts with like gratitude. It starts with what I'm excited about. Then it goes into like your day schedule, your goals, stuff like that. So I write in that. I read. Um, I like short stories. So right now I'm reading 101 stories to change your thinking, I believe it is. So they're just little short stories. And then I will pray, I will meditate, I'll journal something, again, going inward. I walk my dogs, and then I work out. Then I get ready, eat breakfast. Like that's my morning routine. And it makes me feel so grounded and energized to go into the day. So that's really important. And I did want to share one other thing, if I can, that I think is a great takeaway for people, women specifically. I follow these 4 rules when it comes to my energy and time. And the rules are, I do not say yes or help someone or care for someone if they don't ask me directly. I don't say yes, help someone or care for someone if they can do it themselves. Now, children, we still want them to figure it out for
But
themselves
yeah.
first. But,
And somebody with 2 teenage stepdaughters, I totally hear that because 'cause they're like, "Where is it? Good luck."
yeah,
But
right? At a certain point, even like you think of kids like playing with something and they can't figure it out. If the parent takes it from them right away, they're they're not getting the chance to figure it out and have the autonomy to do that. So that's number 2. Number 3 is I don't say yes, take care of someone, help someone if if I know I'm going to feel negatively afterwards. That includes stressed. That's the biggest one for me. I used to do 1 hour. I used to think I'd have false confidence I could do 1 hour tasks in 5 minutes before the next call that I had with a client. And I'd be so flustered, it'd be projected onto my client, and the task never gets done. And now it's like half-assed task that I did. So if I'm gonna feel stressed, upset, um, sad, whatever. If I'm going to feel negatively afterwards, I'm not going to say yes. And lastly, I'm not going to say yes, caretake, or help someone if I expect something in return.
I like
That
that.
includes love.
Yeah. Oh, I like that because oftentimes that's what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Love and acceptance. Yeah. So that's another little nugget I live by.
yeah, that's a deep one. That's one that I'm gonna have to come back to a few times. Yeah.
Yes. It's I did not make that up. Like I said, I worked in a therapeutic boarding school for a short amount of time, and I'm very thankful for it because the supervisor that like the head therapist, if you will, supervisor, he was trained in Pia Melody's model, and Pia Melody is all about codependency, and trained by Pia himself.
Yeah.
She then gave him permission to train his staff on her methods, and it changes the way you see the world and how you think, and he taught me that very early on. I'm like, game
Yeah.
changer. At the time, I didn't get it because I was so young, but now as I'm older, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, like, just follow that. You're gonna be okay." Right?
Yeah, those are good. Those are really good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so well, thank you. This has been such a great conversation. I've had so much fun with you and have learned so much.
Yes.
I think that I now have to go back and listen to this again. So I know my audience will as well. I
I
will
love
have
it.
all your links down below. Is there anything else we can do for you today?
If like, just give me a follow. Like I said, I'm launching a new program, The Mindset of Menopause. It is focusing on the physical aspects of menopause. So, evidence-based support around nutrition, exercise, and stress management, as well as working on the identity shifts, the body image struggles, and the boundary shifts that we need to have, like you said, so we can start to take care of ourselves. So, if you know anyone that could benefit from that, or if you can benefit from it yourself, the information's on my social media, Instagram and TikTok.
It sounds like an amazing program. Thank you for
I'm excited.
helping. Thank you for helping so many women and sharing your story and just like letting it all flow from you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. This has been great. It's been like too fast.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, audience. Definitely go check her out. Go find her in the links below. And as I always say, like choose yourself. Definitely choose yourself. And I love you, and I'll talk to you next week.